Now, before the ban on cigarette advertising, and when health and safety was more of a light suggestion than the death sentence of a good idea, there was an event that pitted the wilderness against man and machine. It tested the limits of camaraderie, of teamwork, and of sporting spirit. It was the Camel Trophy, and we will never have another one. However, what would come to be known as the Olympics of 4x4 did not start as a behemoth multinational competition. Instead, it started as the brainchild of three young Germans who simply wanted to explore the Amazon rainforest. And seeking funding, they pitched their idea to R.J. Reynolds Tobacco, owners of Camel cigarettes. And they saw this as an ideal opportunity for some adventure-driven advertising. So in 1980, with just three teams, all of which German, and equipped with three Ford U50s, which are essentially just rebadged Jeep CJ5s, they set off into the jungle on what was more of a reconnaissance expedition than a structured competition. The journey was a grueling 12 days, and the three small jeeps battled through mud, humidity, sand, and crushing heat. They hit many roadblocks, not all of which environmental, but some of which bureaucratic. Although allegedly this was often solved with bribery, I would assume with Camel cigarettes. The six Germans made it to their destination intact. However, one thing was clear. The Fords that had been made under license in Brazil had not done so well. But with the success of their first outing, Camel wanted to go again. And it would be only a year before they would. Following the success of the first Camel Trophy, the event was not just repeated, but expanded. While still only featuring teams from West Germany, there would now be 5 teams, 8 men and 2 women. And after the previous small jeeps had faltered under the conditions, Camel looked for a new partner, and they found it in Land-rover. Land-rover supplied them with brand new 2-door Range Rovers, with a big V8 up front to help with the slog through the beautiful but savage conditions. This was the beginning of the most iconic partnerships in the automotive. Now, before going any further in the history of the Camel Trophy, I think it's worth looking at this collaboration a bit more in depth, because it is still one of the most iconic collaborations and branding efforts of any motorsport event out there, and it's had long-lasting impacts on how we view both Camel cigarettes and Land Rover. So let's have a little look into that. The Land Rover and Camel branding partnership are so iconic as they tapped into their shared mythos at the time, a deep sense of adventure, endurance, and rugged capability. And while it was the Camel Trophy that cemented this reputation, it was already something both brands had strived to push into the public consciousness for years. Before the Camel Trophy, Land Rover had already established itself as the go-to vehicle for rugged terrain. It doesn't go fast. It wasn't designed with the beautiful curves of an Italian car or with the comfort of a Rolls-Royce, but it was designed to work, and it did that very well. But their marketing at the time reflected this. It was a utilitarian vehicle, not an aspirational one. A working tool, not a lifestyle accessory. And this was something they desperately seek to change, as the scope of the automotive market was also changing. For Camel, expedition and adventure marketing was a simple choice, reinforcing their brand as a rugged, masculine, and adventurous lifestyle choice. The man that smoked camels was the man that could go anywhere, around the globe, or in life. And after the now renowned sand glow yellow paint was added, the iconography of these two brands together would be ingrained into the minds of those seeking adventure the world over. Getting back to 1981 and the first year of this partnership in practice, the expanded Camel Trophy was bigger and tougher than before. The teams departed for Sumatra, Indonesia, an unforgiving land, thick jungles, swollen rivers, and endless mud. The new Land-rovers were therefore subjected to the most brutal of tests, and they performed leagues better than their predecessor. However, that's not to say the journey was as smooth as a holiday in the south of France. The teams faced mechanical failures, torrential downpours, and crippling exhaustion. But they made it through, and the process cemented the Camel Trophy as not a flash in the pan, but as a proving ground and spectacle, set to attract challengers from around the world. Following the resounding success of the 1981 event, the Camel Trophy became an institution, an event would-be adventurers had been searching for, and one with an allure like no other. In 1982, the event was opened up to international teams, and interest skyrocketed. Teams from the Netherlands, Italy, and United States would join the Germans in tackling the wilds of Papua New Guinea in Land-rover Series 3s. Grueling conditions and the feats to get through them, cementing their place in off-road folklore. More than just an endurance challenge, the Camel Trophy spread into a full-fledged adventure competition, much like the ones you did on trips with school, just actually interesting. It was no longer enough to just survive the journey, but you had to prove your worth as a true expeditionist. And this was a competition where no one could be left behind. If a vehicle was stuck, everyone pitched in. Failure was not an individual problem, but a group challenge. And that is what we now know as the spirit of the Camel Trophy. And by the mid-1980s, the trophy had grown to be a legend. More countries were participating, and the locations became increasingly remote and extreme. The event ventured into the wilds of Borneo, the Amazon, and Madagascar, places few had ever dared to explore by vehicle. Land-rover now had fully embraced the Camel Trophy as part of its identity. As the event grew, so did Land-rover's presence. Special edition Defenders, Discoveries, and Range Rovers were produced in tribute to the Camel Trophy vehicles, capturing the imagination of enthusiasts wide. These rugged, no-nonsense machines represented the ultimate go anywhere, do anything spirit of adventure. The late 1980s and early 1990s are widely considered the Camel Trophy's golden era. Participation became highly competitive, with national selection events determining who would represent their country. The prize? The honor of enduring some of the harshest terrains on Earth while living in the dirt, covered in sweat, and bonded by struggle. And of course, driving the toughest Land-rovers we would ever see used. Vehicles became increasingly specialized. The Defender 110 and later Discovery 200 TDI became the workhorses of the trophy, equipped with winches, snorkels, and reinforced bodywork to withstand the brutal conditions. The event also began incorporating more technical challenges, bridge building, rope work, and even kayaking, all in the name of teamwork and survival skills. As the 1990s progressed, the wind of change began to blow, however. Health and safety regulations were tightening, cigarette advertising restrictions growing stricter, and the world moved away from rugged, untamed imagery that had made the Camel Trophy famous. The final official Camel Trophy taking place in 2000, and while later events attempted to carry on its legend under different sponsorships, it was never quite the same. We will never get another Camel Trophy. It was a product of its time, a unique blend of corporate sponsorships, adventure, and raw, unfiltered challenge. Today's world of sanitized, risk-adverse adventure simply wouldn't support an event like it. The sight of yellow Land-rovers tearing through the jungle, covered in mud and surrounded by grinning, sleep-deprived competitors, is now a relic of the past. But for those who remember, who watched in awe as teams conquered the unconquerable, the spirit of the Camel Trophy lives on. It exists in the stories, the surviving vehicles, and the archive footage we hold dear, and in that endless pursuit of adventure we can all strive for. Because no matter how much the world changes, there will always be those who look at their vehicle and at the horizon beyond and wonder if they can take it there. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this short but hopefully interesting documentary on the Camel Trophy. And recently I actually got to see one of the cars in person, which was a phenomenal experience. I'll see if I can find a picture of it. I'm not sure I will. But I wanted to say thank you for watching the video and staying this long, and we hope to make more. So if you want to stick around, please subscribe. And cheers!